right, hello everyone, and welcome to the Nerdery. Today's video is called Top 5, and today we're going to be focusing on Dan's top 5 favorite sci-fi movies. This video is just going to be a way to get to know each of the people in our group, so our tastes, our interests, what we prefer. And I have a feeling today we're going to learn a lot about Dan from his choices for his favorite sci-fi movies. And first, let's do some introductions. Since both of you were not on the last stream we did, go ahead first, Dan.
So, I would consider myself to be a jack of all trades, including my interest in fantasy, in science fiction, in nerdery in general. So I'm not the biggest comic book fan. I'm not the biggest anime fan, but I love all those things. Fairly well rounded, if you will. I'm sure that Io remembers quite a few of our misadventures with role play games back in high school. So, well, Dungeons and Dragons, Matters of the Occult. Not quite. It was probably more along the lines of I want to say, Bill and Ted, popping into the X-Files in the background somewhere. Just like think of like that odd mashup. It's like wait a moment, like the X-Files. This is serious. Like what are these two weirdos doing here?
Alrighty. And since you missed our episode on Star Trek, what is your favorite Star Trek show?
Well, I know it's not going to be well received by you, Steve. However, it is Deep Space Nine.
Yes.
I realized that the Next Generation, it laid a lot of the groundwork for it, but I like the storytelling. I like some of the limitations. I like the plot development. All the Star Treks, they do rely a little bit on it's an interesting vehicle to talk about social commentary, and the alchemy in that show was just spot on.
That's the way I feel about it. Who's your favorite character?
Kind of a tie between Garrick and Otto.
Oh, yeah, Garrick. I like Garrick a lot. But
Alrighty, and
just a simple failure.
Io, introduce yourself.
Hey, I've been friends with these guys for a pretty long time. Was it more? Y'all guys, well, I don't want to get too far, but anyway, I enjoy anime, sci-fi, fantasy. Those are some of my favorite genres. Read a whole bunch of books, like of course, like Lord of the Rings and just all the regular stuff.
I've never read the books.
You never read the books? How dare you, sir? Do you call yourself a fan? Are you a fan of Lord of the Rings or no?
I like the movies.
Okay. Well,
somewhat.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, I mean,
got a bit speechifying a bit, but
right. And so I'm happy to be joining y'all guys here. And my favorite Star Trek, one was Deep Space Nine. It was one of the best. Come on, man.
In a way, it's a good thing both of you weren't in our Star Trek show, because the whole thing would have devolved into Deep Space Nine love.
Oh, it probably would have been. It probably would have. I'm such a big fan, of that series. Quark, one of our favorite. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, see. Hey, how you doing?
Alrighty, and joining us is Terry, who got to be in our last stream. So she already introduced herself last time, but thank you for joining us, Terry. We have basically, this is our main group plus 2 more. Our other friend G is at work, and Chris, who was in our last stream, he's driving right now, so he can't make it. So trying to get everyone on board at the same time can be a bit difficult, but we do what we can. Alrighty. And now for the main event, I guess you could say. Dan, I'm going to make you big screen here, and I'm going to let you share the first movie you want to talk about on your top 5. I don't know if you ranked them for sure or if you just want to generally say your top 5, but start with the first one.
Gotcha. To kind of piggyback off what Io had mentioned in his introduction, is that when I was younger, books were my gateway into a great many wonderful, awesome stories. So I remember when Jurassic Park came out in the theaters, my brother had already owned a copy of Michael Crichton's Jurassic Park. So I remember skimming through a few chapters. I was actually neck deep in C.S. Lewis's Chronicles of Narnia. But anyway, the movie. So when I was older, that's when I was actually able to appreciate the movie a little bit more. And I mean, obviously, back when it came out, the special effects, ahead of its time. I mean, when we think about it, either cartoon animation, stop motion animation, or just really bad prosthetics and like camera angles.
I'm going to jump in real quick and talk about that, only because it's something I really love about Jurassic Park is its use of animatronics and physical props and creatures. Only because CGI is great and it's come a long way. However, for some reason, especially back then, it was much more important to physically have it there to add to that realism. And I know, like, when the T-Rex was chasing the Jeep, I know that was CGI, obviously. However, because they worked the animatronics in, it kind of helped meld it in your brain. So it wasn't as jarring.
Yeah, it blended a lot better.
I want to say Steven Spielberg.
Sorry.
There you go. No, I know. I was letting other people talk because I'm always paranoid that I'm going to have like weird background noise happening.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Absolutely, man. I'm a big fan of Jurassic Park. I remember my father taking me and my siblings to go see it. It was like a huge event for us. That's such a that would be on my list of favorite movies. But I'll let you go ahead, Mr. Dan the Man.
Terry, do you have anything to add real quick about use of animatronics or?
Yeah, I remember that. So I remember Jurassic Park because I think I was like 9 or 10 when it came out. We're all the same age, so we were like 9 or 10, I think. And I remember like hearing about the movie coming out like before it came out, because I remember it was like that movie was hyped. Like that movie was hyped for a long time before it actually came out. And I remember like begging my mom to let me go see it because it was sort of in that like PG-13, like maybe I'll let you see it, maybe not sort of thing where like I could I could see a PG-13 movie if like my mom watched it first. So I just remember like begging her to let me go see it. And then she's like, all right, I'll go see it first. And then she's like, that movie was terrifying. Like, I'm going to have nightmares for Winx. I'm like, no, let me see it. Let me see it. Let me see it. And she finally was like, all right, I'll take you to go see it. And I did have nightmares, but it was also awesome. But yeah, no, it was very cool. And I think you're right. It is definitely aged very well. And I was talking about it with Steve last week when we were talking. I don't remember why. Oh, because we were talking about the new Jurassic Park movie. And I said, like, one thing I really respect about Jurassic Park is that it sticks to its guns. And it's like, yes, we know the dinosaurs are wrong now because like 30 years later, like we know the dinosaurs are wrong, but we are sticking to their wrongness. And we are owning this. And I can appreciate.
But we're just going to keep making them.
Yeah, like I can
We knew it was
appreciate them
wrong.
being like, yes, we know the science is wrong, but damn it, we're still doing this because they look cool and we're making dinosaurs that look cool. But a lot of the science they did get right, which I think I always thought was really cool. Like even as a kid, and then also like going into science as an adult.
All right, Dan. What about Jurassic Park makes it top 5 for you? I mean, we've all seen a ton of sci-fi movies. So narrowing it down to top 5, it's got to be really important to you in some way. Let's hear it.
Okay, so going back to Deep Space Nine, how I was talking about the alchemy. So Steven Spielberg, he blended a lot of great elements together. In essence, that really, there's a strong parallel between that work.
He blended the perfect element.
Jeff Goldblum.
It's Jeff Goldblum. I mean,
in a compromised position. What's going on here?
Somebody printed this out as a cardboard cutout and put it in Spielberg's office one time.
Oh, hey.
Oh, jeez.
So, in terms of the
Jeff
formula,
Goldblum,
everything coming together perfectly, you're talking script, you're talking actors, you're talking production, and you're talking direction.
Yeah. So, thinking back on William Shakespeare, right? William Shakespeare was able to.
I expect you to go, but okay.
So William Shakespeare was able to speak to a wide, broad audience, right? Okay. So it's a movie, and granted, at different ages, rewatching it, picking up new things, it did have the action horror element, which, I mean, that's visceral. Anyone along the bell curve can pick up on that. Some of the social commentary also was, strongly questioning, scientific ethics, if you will. Can we do this? Should we do this? What are the repercussions? And of course, with the casting, I mean, they had the whole. They had the whole spectrum of, let's say, good guy to the complete scum that is like, well, we didn't mind this person being Dinosaur Chow.
Yeah. You talking about the lawyer?
Yeah. Yeah.
How dare you?
All right. Aya, what are your views on Jurassic Park? Is it, first of all, is it in your top 5 sci-fi movies or top 5 movies?
Only because of its sentimental value. It was such a cultural, a big cultural thing, man. Back then, man. One of the first movies to really utilize CG, animation. And of course, as you just said, it blended animatronics with the CG.
To go into that point, movies before that had used CGI. However,
but not to that.
It didn't create a jarring disposition. Like Ghostbusters used a lot of CGI. At no point was I watching Ghostbusters and going, "Man, that is so realistic." You knew in your brain that was CGI. Whereas in Jurassic Park, that CGI felt so real.
Yeah.
But because it's in your top 5, I'm actually going to cut you off before you talk about it too much, because when we do your top 5 movies, that'll be your chance to really dive into it. You know what I mean?
Okay, I got you.
If it's in your top 5, then it needs to be saved.
But it could be in my top 10. Here's my thing, man. I think I told you this before in the chat. My top 5 changes from day to day, because I think of certain things that I certain movies. I'll go with Harlem Nights. I'm not. I don't know if y'all guys ever seen that, but Richard Pryor, Eddie Murphy, Della Reese, Red Fox. Yeah. But I don't want to go into too much. But anyway, it's definitely in my top 10. But I don't it. it might switch between, like
It's on the outside, like
sixth spot or fifth spot. Yeah. So, but yeah, I'm sorry, but go ahead.
Well, I mean, if you want to talk about it more in case it's not in your top 5, that's fine.
Yeah. Seeing the different actors, I kind of like Sam Neill, his character, Dr. Grant.
Something I didn't know until very recently is Sam Neill and Laura Dern are nowhere near the same age. So having them as romantic interest was actually a little
strange. A little strange.
Apparently, she was only like very early 20s.
Oh wow!
In Jurassic Park.
That's pretty common in movies. It's not uncommon for the female lead to be like a good 20, 30 years younger than the male lead.
I know, but she didn't come across that young. Like she owned the role of being like an expert botanist.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Laura Dern was super awesome, man. I loved her character. Of course, Jeff Goldblum's character. Ian Malcolm. Like all those characters.
I don't know how someone gets into that job.
I took a chaos theory class in college because of that movie.
Nice.
Terrible idea. Chaos theory is very hard.
Oh well.
But I was like, this sounds like a cool math class, and that's what Jeff Goldblum did. And then I'm like, I don't understand trigonometry at all. What am I doing here?
Oh yeah.
It would have been even better if you walked into class that first day and it was just a bunch of Jeff Goldblum cosplayers.
Class taught by an actual dinosaur.
Yeah, well, maybe in that position where he's like, just sprawled out. But
that would be the instructor of the class.
Oh yeah. Sam Jackson, he's in it.
Hold on to your butts.
Yeah, hold on to your butts. Yeah.
That's one thing I'll say about Jurassic Park is that it has a lot of iconic lines.
Yes, it does.
I still hear in my brain every once in a while, clever girl.
Whenever
I get like screwed in some way that's out of my control or like I was just outwitted.
Yeah. But absolutely, man. I think it's just such a great movie, man. So many awesome scenes. Steven Spielberg, he was like definitely at the top of his game. And
Terry, we're good. We're sorry. We're gonna start moving this along because we're.
Oh, sorry.
We're 18 minutes into this and we're still.
It might be in the top 2, man. Maybe that's it. That's why. Sorry.
All right, Terry, your opinions on Jurassic Park?
Well, I kind of gave my opinions a little bit.
Yeah.
I liked it. Like I said, it was. I think it's a movie that has held up very well. I think better. I'm trying to remember. Like I saw some of the sequels, not all of them, and I don't remember a lot about most of them. But I think Jurassic Park has it holds up very well. You can tell that they put a lot of time and effort. Like even things like I remember watching a documentary about how they made the water glass. Like that very distinct ripple in the water glass. I remember watching like a documentary or something, how they went through like all different types of things, how to get that like very specific like pattern, and just that level of detail that they had in that movie, I think is very cool. And then like, who doesn't like dinosaurs? I think that movie made dinosaurs cool because I feel like dinosaurs before that were like, a thing that, was like you played within the sandbox, but like that really made it. I actually worked. I worked at Dinosaur State Park in Connecticut for a while, which is a spot that has Dilophosaurus tracks. And Dilophosauruses are the spitter dinosaur with like the
spitter ones. They
don't look
the one that killed Newman. Oh,
yeah, the one that killed Newman. And like they don't look anything like that. They're much bigger. They don't have the neck flare thing. They've got like a head ridge.
Yeah, they just kind of borrowed that from existing lizards.
Wow.
Yeah, that was just completely made up. So that was always funny when we.
And then the whole spitting venom thing. That's also like it could be like.
show me where it's not real. But yeah, I think they thought about because I think the way they had found one of the they found an impression fossil that had it looked kind of like would have been like a neck flare, but it really was because of the way it was angled, it was like the head ridge.
Right.
All right, I'm just gonna give 3 quick thoughts on Jurassic Park, and then we'll move on.
Okay.
One thing I absolutely love about the movie is the score.
Yeah.
For Jurassic Park is just so great. 2, I love the sense of wonder, especially for someone in the field of archaeology, to be able to see dinosaurs. Like, that's not something that's real. An archaeologist would have 0 chance of ever seeing a real life dinosaur. So it's like oh yeah. So
sorry.
So it's like it really brings a sense of wonder to the movie for me. And 3, I love how they delve into possible intelligence of velociraptors, because they were a predator. Usually predators are going to be higher up on the food chain in terms of eventually they're going to be able to evolve more intelligence. So, for example, orcas in today's world, highly, highly, highly intelligent, because they are an apex predator. They've got free time because they're not worried. They don't have to spend so much brain on surviving because they ain't got nothing to worry about, orcas.
Right.
And one last thought. I never read the Jurassic Park book. However, I did read one book about dinosaurs that I recommend. It's called Raptor Red. And the book is from the perspective of a velociraptor. And it's really good. All right, Dan, we are moving along here.
I was about to ask if we went
what is the next movie in your top 5 sci-fi movies?
Okay. So another one that's very heavy on the social commentary, Bicentennial Man. So both a social commentary and also another one on ethical questions of science. And I'm sure this past week with that little gaffe over at Google where the guy was swearing that the AI chatbot is sentient. So yeah, Bicentennial Man, being based off of Isaac Asimov and his body of work. The robots with the positronic brains, all that fun stuff. They're I'm like riffing off of RoboCop now, but like the prime directives,
right?
3 laws of robotics.
Where they can't hurt people, all that good stuff. Can't cause damage to themselves either. But it was interesting seeing, especially having Robin Williams go through. We know that he was such a vibrant comic. I know a lot of us, especially at our age, we remember Robin Williams being the voice actor for the Genie.
I'm a young man.
Oh yeah, we wore much younger clothes back then, and had substantially more hair. So.
Is that how that works? Sorry.
But it was interesting to see, Robin Williams, great pick, wide range of emotions brought to the screen. So, that sense of wonder, that sense of, it was exploration. You were co-exploring your own humanity with that character as he was experiencing the different stages and the different challenges of existence. And I think, if anything, rewatching that movie after we've all experienced 2020, the pandemic, that I think it can help provide a little bit of perspective into what it does mean to be human, what it does mean to live.
All right, I'm gonna go first on this because I have not seen this movie. So the only comments I can make about this is that I really appreciate that Robin Williams didn't get comfortable. He chose a lot of movies around this time that were different, and he very easily could have just been settled into just the same old comedy role each and every movie, make the money, go home. So I do appreciate that Robin Williams was making sure that his career was as varied as it was. Terry, did you see this movie?
I did. It's been a long time, but yes, I have seen it. Yeah, I really loved it. I really like robots. I really like Asimov. I really like that question of where does I've always really liked that question of kind of what does it mean to be human, and at what point can something be considered sentient, or can something be considered their own thoughts? And I've read some Asimov, I haven't read a ton of it. But I love the idea of the 3 laws of robotics. I love the idea of, what is it that makes us human, and then kind of exploring that through the vehicle of AI or, droids or robots. I love Data, some of, I feel like that was also the time period of the golden age of sci-fi anime with Ghost in the Shell and Armitage and Battle Angel and all of that stuff that was kind of asking those same questions. So I always thought that was really cool. And that movie I think was cool because it sort of took questions that were very big in sci-fi and put it in a big blockbuster mainstream movie. And I can't remember if it did well or not. I remember watching it and liking it, but not really hearing a whole lot about it afterwards.
Yeah.
But I think it was a cool movie that it was cool that they were able to make that movie in the way that they did at the time that they made it.
All right, Io.
Yeah.
All right, Dan,
Dan,
everybody can interrupt whenever they want.
Yeah,
Dan,
man.
you don't have to raise your hand there.
Yeah, man.
Just real quick, that piggybacking onto why Bicentennial Man didn't really catch on super quick is that unfortunately,
Wait,
at that time, Robin Williams was still very much pigeonholed as just a comic. So he was really trying to set himself out there for more serious material, and I think part of the reason why he chose that, was to be expressive, was to make the audience question and think, and people walking into the theater thinking that we're going to chuckle. I mean, there were definitely some good laughs in there, including some unexpected adult humor, but I think that where going back to Jurassic Park, that Steven Spielberg was able to balance different elements to have a wider range. And while I love Bicentennial Man, I don't think it has the same multi-generational, multi-background appeal to it.
The comparison I would make to an audience who may not have seen Bicentennial Man in terms of trying to branch out from your comedic roots, a movie a lot of more people have seen, and that would be Jim Carrey transitioning to The Truman Show, when I'm sure a lot of people went to go see that movie thinking, hey, it's just another Jim Carrey comedy, when it actually was more of a commentary on a certain issue. So I guess I would make that comparison, even though obviously it's completely different movies with completely different actors, but in terms of the point you were trying to make.
I can see it.
All right, Io, what do you think about Bicentennial Man?
What I think about it? I think I only seen it in part. I seen maybe a bit of the beginning and then a bit of the end. And I mean it.
I don't know what happened in this.
He's human now? What? But no, I'm sorry. Whatever. It's 30 years old, that movie. It's Robin Williams. I mean, you can't go wrong with anything that he does. He has a wide range of movies, wonderful movies. I don't think he's ever really missed. I don't think. Maybe Patch Adams was kind of weird, but
I like Patch Adams.
All right. All right. What was the other one?
Popeye.
Popeye was not
Not good.
good. Yeah. So there's a few of them, man, and so.
Yeah, Dead Poet Society was great. Oh man, that's one that would probably be on one of my top.
Society.
I don't know if that would be on my top 5, but it would be up there.
Yeah, see, that's what I'm saying. Like, it'd be in my top 20 list. So
I don't have much to say about this movie. Sorry.
All right, then we will move along.
I've seen it, Dan. I've watched it all.
I know.
Okay. So, Steve, don't kill me. I do rank Total Recall a little bit higher than Jurassic Park, even though like Jurassic Park is like this clean, pristine movie, and like Total Recall is just like bottom of like the waist
I don't
bin.
know, man. Colin Farrell, in this role.
Wait, is that no?
I'm surprised this movie made your top 5. This was not a good movie, Dan.
So I was thinking about the original with Schwarzenegger, but now that you actually have the if I was still a teen, I would do the bad Arnold impression.
I guess I'm grown up.
But I will say that if we're going to be talking about the the reboot, we may as well actually talk about both of them.
No, we don't have to talk about the
I didn't even know
reboot.
that existed.
Talk about the real Total Recall and why it's in your top 5.
Once again, social commentary in there. Dealing. Let me see. So the character Quaid. I mean, talk about a lot of development in his character in such a short amount of time, and I realize that we don't associate Arnold Schwarzenegger with character development, but using the editing process, using the gimmicks, if you will, it turned out quite well. Definitely a little bit more on the action side, of course. It's Schwarzenegger.
Yep.
So sci-fi, it was an action movie with a sci-fi backdrop. The social commentary was there. It wasn't, let's say, the crux of the movie, but it definitely helped make it more believable. And if you were to take the if you were to take the science fiction element out of it, it would quite easily transition more into the realm of James Bond. And that's most likely why I appreciate it the way I do.
That's true, yeah. He was like a spy, right?
What did you think of Total Recall?
Total Recall, I loved it. I'm a child of the 80s.
The movie
ultra
came out in
violence.
90.
It came in the 90s? Oh, no.
Time is a lie.
How dare you? Anyway, I loved it. All the violence, I think it was like Michael Ironside. He was in it, right? He played the bad guy, one of the bad guys. Was it him? Okay.
I just remember Quaid start the reactor.
Huh?
I just remember Quaid start the reactor.
Yeah. Exactly. The guy who was in the Breakfast Club played the principal. I forget his name.
Okay.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Remember? I don't know, man. I love the 80s. I love that was also. I got
you're mine. I can't believe I said that in Total Recall.
Exactly.
Quaid, for 2 months, you're mine.
Exactly. Yeah. But so I'm thinking, does like the posters for Total Recall, Predator, and Terminator, do they look the same? They got the same kind of look to them, right? Am I wrong?
They're all like future 90s, which is one of my favorite settings, is like dystopian future, but the 90s.
Yeah, what happened? It's like in 10 years.
You know exactly what I'm talking about. Like, it just looks like the 90s, but dirtier, with occasionally someone has like a laser gun or a flying car, but like it's mostly just Detroit in the 90s.
Yeah.
I love that setting.
Yeah. It was great. It was wonderful. But did it come out in the 90s?
Total Recall, I think, was
I
1990.
mean,
I'll look it up real quick.
Okay.
We do have the internet.
I'll be honest
Right,
that
we do have the power of the
a lot of those movies in that time period,
1990.
they were very
1990?
critical of.
Big word.
I would say they were very critical of corporate America, and especially like the particular flavor that the Reagan administration imparted. So with it being Hollywood, of course, they're going to be
feel the
counterculture.
criticism
They're-
of Reagan's presidency in that movie.
Okay.
So I definitely get where you're going with that.
Gotcha. So everyone had to move off of Earth because of his presidency. What's going on here?
All right, Terry, what do you think of Total Recall?
I always enjoy Arnold Schwarzenegger movies way more than I think I'm going to.
Yep.
I guess because I didn't really grow up with action movies that much, because like I had two sisters, and it just was not a thing that like my parents are like, let's watch Arnold Schwarzenegger movies, because it was just a bunch of girls in the house most of the time. But like, so I was like probably high school, college, and older when I saw most of the like classic, kind of 90s cyberpunk action sci-fi movies. And like, I always enjoy Arnold Schwarzenegger movies like way more than I think I'm going to. I think they're just going to be like campy and silly, and they are, but they're awesome. And I liked the wild ride that is Total Recall in the like, I just remember watching it and just not really knowing what was going on, but liking it. And like, it's not like I don't know what's going on. Like I need to think about this movie harder. It's just like, no, you're not supposed to know what's going on. That's like how this movie works. But again, I like that, kind of, those questions about, what is reality? What is the future? And then you also have the sort of like classism elements put into it, and the,
you had a woman
all
with
of that.
boobs.
Yeah.
I forgot. Oh yeah, that is that movie, isn't
kept,
it?
like getting more kids. Man, I got 4 kids to feed, man. Man, I got 10 kids to feed. I was like, what?
God, so much happens in that movie, because I was just like because it's been a long time since I watched it, but just like trying to think of the plot, and I'm like, you got the virtual reality thing, and you got the Mars thing, and then there's like, we have to go put water on Mars, and then there was like a 3-movie alien at one point. There was like, there was like a whole. There's a lot going on in that movie.
So,
all right,
I remember seeing a documentary on it, and they were talking about how what they theorize is that when he went into that. Was it Total Recall? When he went to the thing, after that, he was actually in that fantasy world, and it probably went wrong. Like that he got stuck in there. I think because they were talking about like that some people had lost their lives or something like that, or got like their brain fried in the Total Recall machine. So I would recommend like watching it again and like seeing like the different beats and seeing like okay like hearing about someone getting their brain fucking liquefied in the Total Recall machine, then him going to the Total Recall, thing, and then but sorry.
All right, I'll give my quick opinions on this. Dan, this is where you and I differ. Jurassic Park would be in my top 50 movies of all time. Total Recall would not be.
Top 50? It's not in your 50s?
It's not even in the top 50 for me.
Oh my God.
However, there's two main issues I have with it. However, it is the best movie about Mars I have seen. Because they're...
The Martian.
Martian.
Because I wouldn't really consider Martian to be sci-fi.
It's like
pure
sci-fi.
Yeah.
It is sci-fi.
It is sci-fi.
Like, hold on, man.
On realism.
We could do a whole segment on fighting about how do you define sci-fi.
Yeah, we could.
Yeah, because I've been working out in my brain. What is fantasy? Is fantasy really considered part of sci-fi, or is it?
Yeah, because it's future fantasy. Like Star Wars, I think is future fantasy.
Yeah.
And like saga.
But
versus like Star Trek, which is that's a whole
more.
other
Yeah, exactly. More sci-fi. John Carter.
Yeah.
All right, so the two main issues I have with Total Recall. One, Arnold Schwarzenegger as a spy is done better in True Lies. I
Yes,
don't
it
think
was.
Schwarzenegger as a spy was done very well in Total Recall.
It wasn't, because I don't know if that was like the main thing in the story. I think that well, whatever, man. I'm sorry. But go ahead.
No, you're fine. And the other issue I have with Total Recall is so much of the movie is spent in bad production stages. Like the whole cavernous setting, it kind of takes me out of it. Like it is not well done in my mind. The settings were not as good as they could have been, especially in a place that's supposed to have been around for a while, and you got these slums, and yet everything is so well lit and everything's put together really nicely. Like, to me, the stages they used, the production they used was not what it should have been, except towards the end with the whole
them falling out of the
room
thing
or whatever that was, with and the actual
when they're out in the open atmosphere.
Yeah. So when they actually went to the Martian surface and all that, that was really good too. But it was just the whole running through the caves setting that just took me out of the movie quite a bit. Everyone's got their different tastes, so I'm sorry I disagree with you on the quality of Total Recall. However, I'm not saying it's a bad movie. I think it's a decent movie, and it's got a lot of iconic moments, but
it's a higher level B movie. I mean, let's be real about it.
I would agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not I'm not sure the word I'm trying to think of here. It's not a parody. It's not a commentary on those types of movies, whereas Last Action Hero is.
Yeah.
Schwarzenegger made Last Action Hero as a commentary on those cheesy action movies, whereas Total Recall was trying to be the real thing.
Yeah.
I would consider the original RoboCop, and I'd also consider. I know Schwarzenegger had nothing to do with it, but also consider The Running Man. So the gritty dystopian movies.
I would rank Running Man higher than Total Recall.
I can see that.
All right.
I shut everything down.
Don't hate me for trashing your pick, but go ahead on your next top 5. You have 2 movies left.
So Alien. So
yes.
So Sigourney Weaver. And it's geez.
Did they go to Mars? I don't know. Sorry.
So with that movie, obviously it's set up so much in the sci-fi world, if you will.
The truck stock bathroom that is the Aliens universe.
Yeah.
Everything's so dirty and crappy.
The grimiest. Yeah.
So it was, in all honesty, the quality of the writing, it was good.
It was awesome.
Going back to the social commentary, aspect, so many good sci-fi, stories to cover, and so Ripley, great character progression.
Mm-hmm.
So even though she didn't have, let's say superpowers, I mean, talk about having, fortitude and strength, and having a strong female lead like that in a movie back in the day that was shot, it was awesome. Like she wasn't just this helpless damsel. And of course, like as the sequels came out, the believability in her being a complete badass, like going through all different traumatic events, just hardening her, and
Dan,
I guess
you're falling apart really bad right now.
Come again?
Your connection is really bad right now.
My apologies.
Like your screen quality has gone to pastel.
Yeah.
Let me turn the phone real quick. Let me.
All right, we'll talk about Alien, and then when you come back, we'll let you talk about it.
Yeah, we'll talk about you while you leave, man. Where you go?
Oh, is he?
Oh,
there
both
he
men.
is.
Okay.
Hey, how you do that?
All right, Dan, resume Alien.
Okay, so yeah, basically the storytelling, the visuals, definitely a sci-fi horror movie, and it set the bar for it as well. For that genre in general.
All right, I'll talk about Alien first. I would sum up this movie in one word: suspense. It is highly suspenseful. I really love this movie. I would rate Aliens above Alien because I think, in terms of the category, because they're very different movies, I think the theme in Aliens of motherhood is such a stronger representation than the theme in Alien. So I do believe Aliens to be better than Alien. However, I definitely understand why people would have it go the other way. So I'm not trashing that at all with you, Dan. Another thing I'll say about Alien is I didn't mind the trope, the final girl trope. I didn't mind it.
Well, that's where it began, right?
No, I think it started with Halloween.
Yes, right. You're right. Yeah. Sorry.
But I didn't mind the final girl trope because back then, I mean, Halloween only came out like I think a year or so before Alien did.
Like,
so it's not like it was an established trope at that time either. But I mean, I'll keep it brief on Alien. Terry, have you seen Alien?
It's been a long time. I don't think I saw any of the sequels. I read Alien, I remember, a long time ago, like probably high school, and then I think I saw the movie. I don't remember a whole lot about it, but I do remember it was very good as far as kind of building suspense and being more like, it wasn't the, kind of jump scares every few minutes kind of horror movie, and it wasn't. I remember the pacing of it being a lot slower, but I think that worked for what it was trying to do.
I like that cool. Ripley wasn't the expected main character.
29, yeah.
You were thinking the main character was the captain or someone else, So Ripley, early on, like the first half of the movie, Ripley
it was like an ensemble.
Yeah, Ripley wasn't portrayed to be as the main character.
Nope.
So it was kind of like as the movie went on.
Yes, I like that.
People are dying off, and you're like, "Oh, I'm gravitating towards this person. Oh, actually, it's well, they're dead. Let me gravitate towards someone else." So I like the evolution of that script.
Yeah, and I think as far as I feel like in that time period, like you mentioned, like the last girl trope kind of thing, it's interesting because kind of thinking back at movies at around that time, that sort of like, late 70s, early 80s, there was surprisingly a lot of like kind of strong female characters, like things like RoboCop and Alien and, a lot of those like early horror movies. And I feel like it kind of backslid more into like the damsel in distress trope. Cause I feel like there were definitely like a lot more like kind of multi-dimensional female characters at that period, and compared to like later on where it was just very hard to find that, at least harder to find that.
I'm grasping at straws in my brain trying to think of iconic 80s lead female characters other than
Terminator.
True.
Yeah, Terminator. Yep.
Terminator.
Yeah, because I think like RoboCop had the one like Terminator.
As you mentioned, it seemed to evolve backwards into Damsel in Distress because Terminator 2 was more about the Terminator than it was Sarah Connor.
Right.
Yeah. Though I mean, but you also kind of see her progress as a character.
Yeah.
Too.
I think it doesn't hurt that she was married to the director at the time.
Oh, there you go.
Linda Hamilton and Spielberg were married.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. I saw her at Comic-Con like years and years and years ago.
Well, still a beefcake.
Yeah, still got them guns.
Got some guns. Yeah, Alien. I loved Alien as Steve was saying that, like it started off as like an ensemble, and then slowly but surely, Sigourney Weaver made her way to the front of the as the main character. Love the sets, that dirty, gritty, futuristic setting. I think it was based off of a lot of H.R. Geiger,
Yeah.
His artwork, and just the penis heads and fucking vagina tunnels and shit.
See, what I liked about the griminess is that it was very diametrically opposed to what we usually see the future as in terms of Star Trek, everything clean, pristine, smooth edges, whereas Alien was dirty, grimy, sharp edges to everything. It feels like you could, the whole thing feels like an OSHA safety. Like you can
just fucking catch your death somehow, just walking down the hallway, or was it, just crawling through one of their like stasis things. Anyway, it was a good movie, man. I loved it. I loved the movie. I don't really have anything bad to say about it, anything critical, So.
All right, Dan. What is your last top 5 sci-fi movie?
A little bit more recent. So Interstellar. That was one of those finds, streaming service, and sat down, watched it, and at first, first watch through, and you're kind of puzzled and you're kind of frustrated by like some of the pacing. It's like, what's going on here? And so obviously, as you start to rewatch the movie, it just makes that much more sense, and especially the first watch through. My apologies, choking my own tongue here. Christopher Nolan definitely took us on a great journey through space and through time, and more importantly, the journey through interpersonal relationships, which I think is the key to human survival at the end of the day.
Right.
So it was a very beautifully done movie. The visuals, the theme, the storytelling.
Yeah.
All right, what's your opinion of Interstellar?
Interstellar, I like the concept. What was it? The Earth was dying, or the sun was. All the nitrogen was.
All the crops are dying because of
because the nitrogen's all being used up. Yeah, it's plausible. It was just weird. It was weird to me, man. Like how he was communicating to her through gravity wells, right? To his daughter.
Yeah.
And from getting close to the event horizon, it was so weird. I was like, what? So who's, I don't know, man. It was such a weird premise. I like that.
Would it make your top 50 movies?
Top 50, man. That's a lot, man. 50 is a lot.
I've seen hundreds and hundreds of movies, so.
Same here. Would it make my top 50? Maybe. At 51 or 50, at the end, it's like right there. So I like how
this is for Dan, number 50, Interstellar.
Yeah, man, it's tough, man. That's a real tough one. I love Christopher Nolan. I love a lot of his works. I like a lot of his practical stuff. Of course, Interstellar, he used a lot more CG. But yeah, that's a tough one for me.
Terry, what are your thoughts on Interstellar?
I love Interstellar. I would probably put it in top 5. So I taught science for 9 years, both middle school and high school. So that was my jam, because it talked about climate change. It talked about space. I loved, super loved the way they made a black hole look like the way a black hole is supposed to look. Because well, every time you see a black hole, it's always like flat.
Yeah,
and it's like, no, it's a sphere because gravity is coming from all sides. So like my like nerdy science brain like I lost my entire science nerd brain when I watched that movie. Because I absolutely loved it. Like I love the way they brought in the Dust Bowl and like the parallels there with like, you know, what happened during the Dust Bowl versus like, you know, what's happening now. I love the theme of just sort of the like, I like the theme of like a slow dying of the earth rather than just like a giant, you know, oh no, aliens attacked, or like, oh no, nuclear disaster. It's like, no, like we're going to go out slow and we're going to go out like grasping. And I absolutely love that. I don't know if any of you have ever read Parable of the Sower or any like Octavia Butler, but it kind of really, if you like that kind of like dystopian, but not like over the top dystopian sci-fi, really good series, especially if you like Interstellar. Because I feel like I don't know if Interstellar was inspired by that book, but I could definitely see some kind of callbacks to that, to Parable of the Sower and Parable of Talents. But I love that. I loved how they tied that in with space travel. I loved how they tied in even the commentary of. Tell me to shut up whenever, because I could talk about this movie for an hour if you let me. Because I absolutely love this movie.
Oh yeah, we're like the black dude who was on the ship, and like how they went down to the planet's surface because they're were they closer to the black
because
hole?
of the time differential between the planet because of the time space and the gravity. But even the talking about how the propaganda of like, you know, we need essentially like vilifying technology because, you know, technology is what killed us. So that generation of, you know, we need to focus on agriculture. We need to focus on like growing food and not dying, like to the point where like we're going to erase the history of space travel because space travel is not what we need to do to survive. And that kind of like underground, like, no, but that's important. And then tying all of that into just, you know, the human condition and like, you know, what it is that makes us want to survive as people, and you know those relationships and the sacrifices that you make, and then kind of along with, you know, the reasons you make that sacrifice, like that connection between the daughter and the father through time and space, and just, you know, this is what makes us human, and this is why any of this, because none of this matters if like people don't want to survive. And yes. I'll stop now because I stop. But yes, Dan, I'm with you. Top 5, definitely.
Boo. Boo.
My opinions on Interstellar. Very good movie throughout.
Yeah.
The twist almost ruins the whole movie to me. M. Night Shyamalan style. Because that is not how a black hole works. If you fall into a black hole, you are not going time traveling. You are crushed into a tiny little dot. That really frustrated me when I watched the movie. I was like, this is not a plot twist. This makes no freaking sense. And they make such good science throughout the majority of that movie, especially exploring how gravity affects time. However, if you fall into a black hole, you're not going to visit your daughter.
Yeah, no.
Years prior. I am sorry. You are dead, sir.
I wanted to see more spaghettification.
Yeah, that's
right. That's a word that exists.
Yeah, that one. Yeah.
There was not sufficient spaghettification happening. I'll give it that.
Yeah.
So that really took me out of that movie, and I was digging the movie for a good portion of it, and I liked how odd the robot was in that movie.
I love that robot,
and
that's my favorite robot. That's like probably my favorite robot.
The joke towards the very end of the movie is one of the funniest things I've seen in movies, where he reactivates it, and it suddenly goes, activating self-destruct in 5, 4, and he knows it's joking with him.
Yeah.
But it was like, it woke up for being deactivated for how long, and it's the first thing it does is that. Very funny, very unexpected.
Yeah, that was a cool. I forgot about the robot. Yeah, it's a cool design because you think like a lot of times with like.
I like the way the legs kind of like come out from the side.
Because it's practical for what it was designed to do.
Yep.
Yeah. Whether it runs in its weird gait or it like just spins really
Yeah.
fast. I mean, Interstellar,
It was unique.
a lot of
It was
good moments. However, to me, there are better Nolan films.
Yeah.
And I mean,
Is Tenet one of them?
no,
Please say yes. Please say yes.
I haven't seen Tenet, so I
I
can't
haven't
say
seen it either.
really.
Another joke.
Oh,
Yeah, I've heard it's not great.
It
to
is.
me, Memento is a better Nolan movie.
Memento's awesome.
God.
What? You hate
It-
Memento? What's wrong with
I
Memento?
don't
No,
think
I remember
there-
watching Memento in Hattie's class with you
Yeah.
guys.
Yeah.
I had
Yeah.
already seen it, so it's better if you see it on your own instead of cut in half because the period's only
With a
40
bunch of-
minutes long.
Yeah.
Dumbass high school seniors making commentary through the whole thing.
Yeah. The plot twist towards the end of Memento, infinitely better than the plot twist of Interstellar, where so that's
So-
how his daughter knew everything.
Yeah,
That's
that
how
was
the book
tough for
was
me.
pushed out. He fell into a black hole and went
That
back in
was
time and
tough.
pushed out the
That was
book.
tough.
What?
But what if string theory?
Well, if you want to suspend your belief for a fraction of a moment, there was definitive intervention from a higher
Yeah, that's what it was.
from a higher civilization than our own currently, or even that was portrayed at that time.
Right.
So there's a remote possibility that an interstellar species intervened at that moment and basically manipulated the energies of the black hole. I mean, obviously, this is this hypothesis. This is spinning here. So that's where I'm able to
for
suspend.
McConaughey. We have
Yeah.
traveled across the galaxies for McConaughey.
Yeah,
Look.
pretty much. His hair, we needed to see it in person.
Oh, you know what I didn't like though? The whole Matt Damon.
Yeah.
Why
was-
was Matt like you could have cut that
Yeah.
entire 30 minutes out of that movie and lost
Yeah.
absolutely nothing, in my
I'm
opinion.
fine with them including that because it added a lot of tension
You know
to
what?
an already tense situation.
So when I saw the trailer for Martian, I was like, wait, is this from Interstellar?
It's the Interstellar prequel.
Yeah, I was like, sorry, but go ahead.
All right, Dan. I have sufficiently trashed 2 of your top 5.
Very much did.
No, because I said Total Recall is good. It's just not
Okay.
top 50 for me.
Well, that's the thing, though.
Is it 51?
Art, literature, all that fun stuff. It's highly subjective.
Yeah.
And Interstellar, like I said, 80%, the first 80% of the movie, great stuff. What the hell with that plot twist? I'll compare it to The Village. The Village is a great movie halfway through.
No,
and then,
I can't do that.
Village is out here
can't
trying.
do The Village was so ass, man.
The Village was a great movie up until midway through.
I don't know, man. Village, I don't know. I wasn't a fan. Not a fan from the beginning.
Oh,
I don't know.
it breaks my heart. But go ahead. Go ahead, Dan. On your top 5 overall, let's put a button on your top 5 with your understanding and appreciation of sci-fi.
Yeah, Dan.
It is a wonderful vehicle to be able to jump out of our noggins, to explore what can be, to examine the full spectrum of human emotion, wonder, fear, love, even hatred. Because you could take a look at a whole bunch of other movies that we haven't spoken about, and we could pull up, Star Wars. Let's say hatred of the Sith, or hatred of the Jedi being this ultra rigid, they couldn't see, in front of their noses. It's as I said, it's a great vehicle to explore ourselves, the world around us, the possibilities, the thrill of what can be, and even cautionary tales. Using, picking on Ronald Reagan again, using the telemetry of storytelling to warn about our follies. And even
I'm
going back
following
to
where
Isaac,
you're going. Where you're going with this in terms of metaphor. That's what science fiction is a great vehicle for. The use of metaphor. You can take any current situation and use science fiction to get your point across.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sometimes, though, it's not about a metaphor. Sometimes science fiction is just trash. And
True.
I say that as a science fiction fan. Sometimes it is just trash because it's somebody who's using science fiction in the completely worst way. What was that movie
Which one?
with Natalie Portman?
Oh yes.
Annihilation.
Annihilation.
Annihilation was not good sci-fi to me.
Yeah.
It should have been,
Yeah.
but
That was a weird one.
it was dense sci-fi. Whereas you can use dense sci-fi and still make a good movie, like The Arrival. I think
Still Arrival was good.
Arrival was good sci-fi
Yeah, that was great sci-fi.
while being dense. Very dense movie, but it was still good.
Who's the
Whereas
lead actress
Annihilation
now?
was dense sci-fi, but it was not good. What's that?
Who was the lead actress in that one?
Julianne Moore.
Julianne Moore. Yep. Yeah, that was such a good
So
movie.
I have a feeling it'll never hit the big screen. But what I'm kind of crossing my fingers for, that one of these streaming services will pick up.
Battlefield Earth.
Arthur C. Clarke exploring the Rama series that he wrote.
What was it called?
Rama, Rama. So.
Oh, Rama. Yeah, Rendezvous with Rama.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
That, like, I remember I picked up the first book in the library and I read through it. I was like, oh, it's such a good book, man. Let me go, get the other one. Like, I think it was like Rama 2. It was an encyclopedia.
Yeah.
It was huge. I guess because the first one did so well, the guy was like, all right, let me just throw all of this in here, So I was like, no, I'm good. So I never finished the series.
All right, so that was Dan's top 5 sci-fi movies. Terry or Io, do you want to go next for a top 5 of your own?
Terry? What, rock, paper, scissors?
I'm going to be away for 2 weeks, so
Oh,
if this is something that's happening, I'm not going to be back till the 5th of July.
Oh, okay.
So
hey.
Yeah, she's got a 2-week prison sentence.
Oh,
yeah,
gotcha. All right, then I guess I'll be going next.
Counterfeiting.
All the good stuff.
I mean, I'm going to the UK, so who knows?
When anybody says they're going to the UK, I immediately think of the first Wayne's World movie. Or no, was it the first one or was it the second one? I can't remember. But where they said they were going to the UK, but they were like, I can't believe Paramount spent the money to send us to the UK, and it was just like 2 obviously wrong body doubles for Wayne and Garth.
Yeah, I remember that. That's funny, man. So what's so it's gonna be sci-fi? That's the
It's whatever top 5 you want it to be.
Okay.
It can be movies, games, characters from anything, whatever top 5. And we got time because next week will be a regular nerdy show where we talk about nerd news and then have a topic. And then 2 weeks from now, we could do another top 5. Also, at some point, maybe next month sometime or the month after, we'll do a Nerdery Jeopardy episode.
Hey,
a little trivia competition for everyone.
I'm all about that.
I'll wait for Terry to get back for that because I want her to absolutely school you on Star Trek. And
me?
Yeah,
I know. I'm How dare
Star
you?
Trek, I feel like would get intense.
It could get intense. It could get intense.
I do have one request for the Jeopardy.
Okay.
And Io,
Yes.
if you could channel your SNL version of Sean Connery.
Oh no! You know what? I'll try.
Okay, I think there needs to be a category for specifically things that happened while we were in high school.
Okay.
Like,
How would I
Yeah.
write questions for that?
I
Well,
don't know.
so
I mean, it could be like movies that came out like, you know, between
Yeah.
like 1998 and 2002,
Okay,
like movies
okay.
from that time
Yeah,
period,
yeah.
or
That's a good
like
idea.
things in that time period.
I mean, movies that came out, but also the comic books that
Yeah.
were hitting the shelves at that time.
Right.
You guys made me dub that Spider-Man comic for video production.
No.
I was just laughing at the suggestions in the chat.
Alrighty, well, we're going to end the stream. We'll probably keep chatting a bit afterwards, but I want to thank everyone for watching this and watching this on the replay. And you got to know Dan a bit more and what his favorite sci-fi movies were. And we'll see you next time.
Man.